Bitcoin all-time high. Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me are my co-hosts, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lawrence Lewitinn, and Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning, Lawrence. What's with the sunglasses? What's going on? It can only mean one thing.
Yes, record high prices in Bitcoin and ETH and some crazy numbers coming out today. So, whoa.
Laser eyes. You got to put on your glasses.
Yeah, I really do.
All right, checking in on Bitcoin.
Right. The
XVX Bitcoin price right now trading at 63,066. Bitcoin is up 4.35% over the past 24 hours. And the ETX Ether price right now at 2,229. ETH is also breaking records, now up 3.6% over the past 24 hours, according to trade block data, the most reliable reference price for institutions since 2014, with billions in assets under management benchmarked against it. So that is certainly our top story of the day, Lawrence. BTC all-time high, ETH all-time high. What's going on?
There's a lot of excitement. People are saying that it has to do something with the Coinbase going public tomorrow. It's not an IPO. Let's remember that. But what's interesting to note is that XRP, which can't be traded on Coinbase, that is up 20%. It's the biggest mover in the CoinDesk 20. So there's something more, in my opinion. There's something more than just Coinbase. This is an all crypto rally happening here, and a lot of it has to do with the fundamentals.
Interesting. Yeah, and Omkar Gaboli, one of our reporters here at CoinDesk, mentioned that Bitcoin, though, was due for a breakout. It would go, a huge rally or a huge correction, and it looks like it's going up. Emily, that Coinbase direct listing is making a lot of chatter, a buzz in the crypto industry. What's going on?
Well, I think I should mention the most important aspect of the Coinbase story is that the rapper Nas and actually his investment firm, Queensbridge Venture Partners, got into the Series B round in 2013, which means that tomorrow when Coinbase lists on Nasdaq, Nas could net something like $100 million. So I feel like this is a really important aspect of the story that is not being covered enough.
It's not being told enough. Nas is richer, people.
We reported it yesterday, and in addition to Illmatic being the best rap album of all time, objectively, Nas is clearly a very smart investor. So I think it's important that everybody knows this piece of news.
Intense week for Nas.
It's intense.
Yeah.
All right. ConsenSys, an Ethereum-focused incubator, raising $65 million to bridge traditional finance with the decentralized finance world. Investors include JP Morgan, MasterCard, and UBS, alongside leaders in the decentralized finance community. This announcement out just today. Joining us to discuss is Lex Sokolin, global fintech co-head and head economist at ConsenSys and CoinDesk columnist in London. Welcome, Lex.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Well, the first question I got to ask is Ethereum, new all-time high. How is that impacting the ConsenSys community as well as the Ethereum community?
Yeah, absolutely. So ConsenSys is for builders. It's to help developers create new products using something like the Infura APIs to connect to the Ethereum nodes. It is for people and for developers to use MetaMask as their crypto wallet and then to build applications that connect to the decentralized web. It's for enterprises like JP Morgan and UBS and MasterCard and more of the traditional finance world that's trying to stand up blockchain-based networks. And so for us, it's very exciting to see the price action. And I think it's a lagging indicator. It's sort of the outcome of all the work that the community has been putting into place by building applications. So decentralized finance, the non-fungible token art, and all of the exciting assets that people are trading are underpinned by this awesome technology around Ethereum. And so ConsenSys is really focused on helping people build more and more.
Lex, tell me a bit about this announcement you have this morning. Explain how ConsenSys is converging decentralized finance with the centralized finance world or the traditional world. How does it do that while staying true to its roots of creating a decentralized permissionless world?
Sure. So this is, a philosophically difficult question because there is this amazing frontier of crypto native builders that have created all these new protocols and all of these new applications. And we now have something like 3 million monthly average users on MetaMask that are interacting with the crypto native networks. But at the same time, we think that bridging the trillions of assets that are currently in traditional capital markets, in the payments networks, so if you think about MasterCard's card networks, if you think about central bank digital currency and supporting that with an Ethereum variant called Quorum, really putting that infrastructure in place to get the mainstream economy over to the crypto native world, I think for us, that's both our core advantage and also the huge leverage point, I think, for this ecosystem. And a lot of the asset class kind of price action that people are excited about, that's the result of work that custodians and financial infrastructure firms and wallets put into place over the last several years.
Hi, welcome. So it's nice to think of this idea of centralized finance and decentralized finance coming together, but they definitely are in tension in some areas. So for example, with Coinbase, as we all know, is listing tomorrow. And in their S1, they actually cited DeFi and decentralized exchanges as a potential threat in the future. And I'm just curious how you see this problem because, Coinbase is not a crypto native platform. It's a middleman, right? It's a very different concept from decentralized finance. And if you think that DeFi and decentralized exchanges will pose a threat to Coinbase over the long term.
Yeah, so I think it's important to disambiguate the technology and the financial infrastructure from the distribution arms for financial products, right? So Coinbase has an absolutely spectacular 56 million person footprint, and it's the on-ramp into crypto assets. And it competes not just with decentralized finance, but it competes with Robinhood and Chime and Betterment and all the other fintechs that offer some sort of new financial future to their customers. And so I think of them as a distributor. While on the other side, you've got Rails, you've got infrastructure and the programs that are used to make the financial instrument. And so without getting too much in the weeds into core banking platforms or payment processors or underwriting platforms, I think that is what Ethereum is really changing and potentially replacing. So in the same way that you can't pay for Uber with cash, you have to use a digital rail. We think that the future financial economy is going to sit on Ethereum as the core settlement layer, where the actual trust happens, where the settlement happens, where transactions execute. And so I definitely see a world where Coinbase is a distributor of decentralized finance product, in large part because the DeFi protocols are built as something that's integratable, something that is a chassis that third-party distributors can sit on. And so that's definitely going to challenge some of the Coinbase core thesis, but in the long run, it's a much better proposition for the financial industry and for their clients.
Hi, Lex. How much of ConsenSys is now going to be owned by financial institutions with this latest investment? And what kind of access are you getting from them with that investment that you didn't have before?
That's a fantastic question. So ConsenSys is a pioneer and a steward of the Ethereum community, from the very early stages, investing over 100 million in early stage projects that were very open-ended and really seeding some of the core things that make Ethereum functional. So that spirit is really important for the company. And so the majority ownership of this is still and purposefully in a crypto native perspective, but at the same and this is also why the raise has both large traditional incumbents like JPM, UBS, and MasterCard, but also really important crypto native firms like Protocol Labs behind Filecoin or MakerDAO or the Lao, really kind of pushing the envelope of what an investor is. And again, for us, we think that's the magic of combining what the future looks like with the large existing footprints.
Right. Lex,
what percentage though would that be, and what are you getting from them in terms of access?
Yeah, for sure. So the investment instrument for the investors is a note. So that, they're not getting a percent. They're getting a convertible note instrument. It's not a loan. It's sort of
right.
It's a non-priced round, and in part is because we raised this round in 2019, and so we preserved the upside, but then gave people the participation they wanted. In terms of the access that we're getting, and you can kind of think of the crypto community getting access to these networks, it's really the deployment of Quorum as the core blockchain protocol underneath the activities of these financial institutions in the blockchain world. So earlier last year, it was announced that ConsenSys acquired Quorum, which is a private permissioned Ethereum variant that works for the financial industry. And so, part of the strategic rationale is that the optionality to bridge Ethereum to private permissioned Ethereum is in play. And so, there's a long-term strategic interest here.
Yeah. Lex, these projects, they're focused on building and, scaling the Ethereum community, but a huge problem right now for Ethereum is the gas fees. And as we see the price of Ethereum skyrocket as well, I wonder what is going into solving these problems, because a lot of devs are becoming really frustrated at working with Ethereum because of these huge fees.
It's a very fair question. And in some way, this is a good problem to have, in the sense that you have so much usage and so much interest and so much demand for transactions that you in an auction process are getting really high gas prices. But for the average user, this is absolutely detrimental. And so there are a number of fairly technical answers to the question. One answer is Ethereum 2, which now has multiple billion staked in the contract to power the beacon chain. So the Ethereum 2 project is going along pretty well. Separately, there are a number of what are called layer 2 projects, which are, if Ethereum is layer 1, layer 2s sit on top and kind of intermediate various use cases. Mm-hmm. And it's important for those layer 2s to be to perform computation so that you can run software on them. And so there's 3 or 4 candidates for layer 2s that are quite good, that are now seeing millions in activity as well.
I guess the concern is, whether or not this can be done in a timely manner. That has yet to be seen. But thank you very much, Lex, for joining us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. This is this is a multi-decade transformation of our society. So we have a very long-term view for its success.
All right. Thank you for joining us. That was Lex Sokolin, global fintech co-head and head economist at ConsenSys and CoinDesk columnist. Coming up, markets update with crypto lender MoneyLion. Coinbase is one step closer to officially becoming a publicly traded company.
Coinbase will absolutely be seen as an alternative proxy to Bitcoin.
100 billion's not crazy.
$100 billion looks a little bit rich.
I think the valuation is quite low.
Coinbase releasing meteoric quarterly results ahead of its highly anticipated listing.
They dropped some large numbers on the world.
Coin, which is their ticker, COIN, could almost be a better version of an ETF.
This event will enable more women in particular to invest in this industry.
And then there could be some reality that happens afterwards and some selling off.
The market will tell us a lot more Wednesday, April 14th.
Time now for the daily forecast and update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Angie Lau of Forecast News.
Welcome to the Daily Forecast, April 13th, 2021. A new record high for Bitcoin in the Asia trading hours, but the real insight here, Bitcoin is now just 55% of the total market cap in cryptocurrencies. It's the lowest in 2 years. Why? It's the rise of the altcoin. Hi, I'm Angie Lau, editor-in-chief of Forecast News. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, is criticizing the Filipino government's lack of supervision of crypto exchanges. In a new 70-page financial stability report in the country, the IMF warns that international confidence in the nation could diminish if exchanges were left unchecked and potentially abused for financial crimes. We're talking about cryptocurrencies and exchanges here. And if the Philippines doesn't beef up its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime, well, it may be put on the IMF's so-called gray list this year. But that could mean lower financial flows to the country that's still reeling from the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a 2019 OECD survey, majority of the Philippines are aware of crypto, but actual holdings are lower than neighboring nations, which could be a sign of other high perceived risk in owning these digital assets. Crypto exchanges offer on-ramps to crypto in a nation where remittances make up more than 9% of the Philippines GDP, so using crypto is a dramatic way to reduce high cross-border transaction fees. Still, IMF's message will have an influence. Philippines Central Bank, the BSP, issued new guidelines in January of this year to guard cryptocurrencies against money laundering, so we may see more action taken after this new warning from the IMF. Meanwhile, China expanded digital RMB tests to Hainan province this week. Hainan, known as the Hawaii of China, the People's Bank of China chose a city on the southernmost tip of the island with a population of around 2,000 for their latest experiment. For them, well, for residents, it's a great deal. Get this, the PBOC giving a 99 yuan discount for every 100 yuan spent in shops and eateries with the digital currency. That is a 99% discount. By the way, its significance here is truly how it might play into trade policy. Hainan is also where China has ambitious plans to craft its biggest free trade port by 2050, and where central authorities welcome foreign investment in its digital economy, blockchain, and AI. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin spot prices. They topped out over the $61,000 mark, new all-time high at 4 p.m. Hong Kong time. That's up 0.5% compared to the same time yesterday. Broader equity markets in Asia looked upbeat. China's imports picked up in the first quarter and overseas markets lapped up the gains. And just how are cryptocurrencies doing? Well, at the close of Asia trading hours, XRP still riding on the wave from its parent company's legal win in U.S. courts, seeing Ethereum down 0.7% ahead of the upcoming Berlin hard fork. And staying with Ethereum, one of the network's top DeFi protocols, Uniswap, has been one of the top notable gainers today. First, its anticipated V3 upgrade has holders buzzing, but more recently, it has been one of the 11 cryptocurrencies added to challenger bank Revolut's crypto offerings, so some more liquidity here. And this is where also things are getting interesting. Keep an eye out for digital banks and DeFi, not just in Asia, but around the world. And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. I'm Forecast Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
Checking in on Bitcoin, the XBX Bitcoin price right now trading just below $63,000, but Bitcoin is still up about 4% over the past 24 hours, making that all-time high earlier. The ETX Ether price right now trading at $22.28. ETH is up 3.4% over the past 24 hours, according to TradeBlock data. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is MoneyLion CEO Dee Choubey in New York. Welcome, Dee.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. All right, so it's a big day. Bitcoin all-time high as well as Ethereum. What's your take on the markets?
Yeah, look, I think that, exciting times for the market. We here at MoneyLion are trying to do our small part in the ecosystem as it relates to on-ramps, wallets, and the distribution of the capability. From our perspective, over 85% of Americans still haven't really gotten exposure to cryptocurrencies and digital assets. A lot of the wealth creation, a lot of the price appreciation that's happening for those that are in the know. We as a digital bank now have the opportunity really to create those on-ramps into access for more of a mainstream audience here. So we're excited about
Dee, are you seeing more retail or institutional activity?
Ours is all retail. We are a direct-to-consumer digital bank, and as we go out to our customers and we ask them, have you been exposed to cryptocurrencies? 60% have, and then another 77% say that if they had an easier access to, really on-ramp fiat into crypto, they would avail that opportunity. So we believe that from a retail perspective, we're just right at the gates here.
Hi, Dee. Are you worried at all about some of these retail investors coming in and taking big bets? What are you doing to foster some responsibility on their part when it comes to handling their own money?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, right? We've seen a lot of the zeitgeist of the moment is around stimulus and putting it into cryptocurrencies, and there's lots of chatter on Twitter, and there's lots of Reddit channels on how to optimize it across the ecosystem. Of course, Coinbase going public and becoming more mainstream is going to proliferate some of that even more. But as we think about it, it's really the education part, right? When we say that 85% of Americans have never touched a cryptocurrency, there's a reluctance, there's a hesitance to understand the volatility. So the first step that we take is we focus a lot on education. Our first product is actually going to be a crypto roundup. So again, you've used the MoneyLion debit card at a point of sale or at e-commerce, and you'll have an opportunity to put round up to the next dollar, next even dollar, or add a little bit. So from our perspective, the conversation is dip your toe, understand the volatility, understand how it matches your goals. Ultimately, one of the things that differentiate us is we're always giving advice on what to do with the next dollar to our customers. And crypto is just how, your robo-advisor or your
bigger retail apps out. What are you providing that differentiates you guys?
Approach. There's some great fintechs. We are not reliant on any one type of holistic platform. We're a digital bank. We're really creating that private banking experience for the rest of us, for the American middle class, where you can actually leverage the behavior in the different swim lanes all into one holistic view. And that's really, our ability to look at the assets and the liabilities of the consumer ultimately differentiate us.
Hi, Dee. So as we all know, big listing tomorrow. What do you expect to see in the markets tomorrow?
So, look, I think, the previous conversations were all around just the proliferation of there's a technology side of it and the distribution side of it. On the distribution side, we expect, what we all want is more access to more Americans and more middle-class folks globally, and the currencies as a payments mechanism. That's what we are really excited about. When we think about enabling a digital wallet where there's an interoperability between your bank account and instantly within seconds, you're into crypto assets. Coinbase has, of course, pioneered that, and now there's more to do. So I think that with them as an example, the ability to use your digital wallet now for payments becomes an even more useful experience for folks.
All right, Dee, thank you so much for the update this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
That was MoneyLion CEO Dee Choubey. Coming up, Aave founder and CEO Stani Kulechov, and checking in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Tech.
Hey, good morning.
Criminals, but nowadays, we're seeing really using Bitcoin.
Yeah, so this is the first report, Michael Morell, to basically...
Nick Day, don't forget to sign up for the state and users deposit funds they wish to...
Want to your keys, the same way as we are. It's about accessibility and also transparency, because only transparent and auditable by, I would say that decentralized finance makes very much the users are incentivized to use you're a stakeholder of the product from the traditional finance.
Hi, Stani. Yes,
during decentralized finance, and this is significant.
That DeFi is not really regular.
For example, Ethereum and Bitcoin actually do pretty well. Is that you can actually bring access and build businesses that brings the access to the participants to review the code and understand, technically even, what's in the code, what kind of execution, either choose to participate or choose not to participate. And this is problematic in the sense that when we want to scale DeFi to the millions of users and hundreds of millions of users in the future, it might not be a very workable solution. But I guess what's interesting perspective also is that there will be businesses built on top, centralized providers who will bring access to DeFi and build more kind of user experience and for the mainstream. So I would say like DeFi is more of a software stack in financial technology, the same way, for example, as Linux operating system is a technology stack in every single server at the moment.
Stani,
and I would say a good comparison.
Just
say that good comparison is. Yeah.
Sorry,
there's some lag.
I just want to.
Go ahead.
Okay. Stani, you're the CEO of a decentralized exchange. So I'm just wondering, how decentralized can it be? For instance, are you controlling the supply of...
Actually, not that much. And that's the reason is that practically the governance token was already created over, I think, and pretty much it's distributed